shut the fuck up. It's busted.
Actually, a dog.
Deadlock is Valve's most recent video game. If you can even call it a video game, that is. You see, this game falls under the genre of video games which are described as MOBAs or MOBAs, which is a totally made up word. The word MOBA stands for Multiplayer Online Battle Arena, which can be used to describe just about any game that has online multiplayer ever. Riot Games, aka one of the gayest video game companies, or rather one of the gayest conglomerates of human beings ever to exist, coined this term MOBA in the first place somewhere around 2010. And you were all psyops into using the term. You see, there was this little game mode that was a mod for Warcraft 3 called Dota, and every game that was like Dota was simply called a Dota-like. But because these games aren't Dota clones and Dota is its own entity, it required a new title. But you see, I don't like the title MOBA. It's coined by what is essentially a modern age propaganda and, for lack of a better word, psyops and company that uses its own games as psychological torture experiments on its users. No. Instead, a more appropriate name shall be given to this genre from now on, which is the ass faggot. You see, the term MOBA is just simply too vague, and ARTS is also just simply way too vague. You can use that to describe a number of things. Ass faggot is descriptive enough and fits this genre perfectly, and it also fits the people who play it perfectly. An Ass Faggot is an Aeon of Strife styled Fortress Assault game going on two sides. Anyways, now that we know what Deadlock really is, why has nobody been talking about it? Well, that's because Valve has been keeping everybody under lock and key except for their special little streamer buddies that they've been letting play this game in early access for the past year. The lockdowns were pretty strict up until the past 2 weeks, in which they allowed everybody to invite their friends via the use of keys, which means that yours truly finally got to play this shitty game. Before I even turned the game on, I already knew that this game was going to be bad because the symbol for the game was the occult all-seeing eye. Which, when you know how heavily connected Valve is to the CIA, DARPA, and CERN, really should concern everybody who's playing this game. They're essentially openly admitting to being gay faggots who spy on you all the time. Ignoring that, this game uses the occult noir art style, which to me comes across as predictive programming instead of something that's inspired. Visually speaking, this game carries the exact same soulless shading and the exact same generic designs that feel like they were made by an AI, or at the very least a furry developer, which is essentially the same thing as having an AI developer. And lo and behold, when I checked to see who was actually one of the lead game devs for this team, it's some freak named Yoshi. Now, for those of you who don't know, anybody who's probably got a fixation on Yoshi is almost certainly sexually attracted to him. This is without exception, especially online. Moving on, this game has some pretty woke character designs, and while I hate to use that term, I don't really know what else to describe it as. There are a few cool characters in this game, like in Furnace. They already have a character that they're referring to as a they-them. The turret bitch is already, a confirmed lesbian. And all the people who are saying go woke, go broke are gonna buy this game because it has the Valve logo on it. Ironically, there's another sister game, or rather clone game, of the exact same genre that's coming out at the same time called Concord that totally flopped for this exact reason. But Deadlock won't flop for this reason, because it has Valve when you boot the screen on. This game also has, visually speaking, one of the most clusterfuck, unnavigatable UIs that I've ever seen. And it might be because this game is in early development, but I don't know how they're going to change this UI and make it more navigatable. When you're playing it, it feels almost impossible to navigate. Even if you wanted to find specific information as far as what is going on, like what certain debuffs do, you can't really find it. You can see that your character was debuffed, but you don't know what the actual debuff does. That's pretty much all I have to say about the visuals for this game. They're pretty all over the place, and quite frankly, it just feels really uninspired. It just feels like somebody reached into some furry artist's portfolio. Every single character in this game looks like they were made for gay porn. Now, the gameplay for this game, in typical ass faggots fashion, totally disrespects your time. This game is going to be blatantly meant to soak up as much of your time and waste as much of your life as possible. You're going to be spending 30 plus minutes every game running down a lane, farming minions, killing minions until one of your teammates messes up, and then you spend the next 40 minutes being held hostage, or else you get permanently banned from the game for leaving. Which, by the way, is not an exaggeration. In other typical ass faggots fashion, it copies the MMR rage bait system and handles skill-based matchmaking the exact same way as every other ass faggots game that I've played. It's a totally rage-inducing system that automatically will put you up against sweat if you show any type of competency in the game. And then you get punished for playing with your friends in a genre that's essentially a 5v5 or 6v6 party game. It's part of the reason why this genre is dead. The developers automatically assume its entire audience is a bunch of competitive virgins who want to sweat for 40 minutes straight in every single game that they play. It's even more stress-inducing when you start to understand how this game is actually played on a competitive level. If you lose in the early game, it is over. Then you're being held hostage for the next half hour. At the very least, in other games where people sweat, like fighting games, in a fighting game, if you lose an interaction or a trade, you've only got 99 seconds tops before the game is over, and you can just go on to the next round. And even then, the game isn't over until your character is actually dead. Because of the way that this game works with snowballing, itemization, skills, levels. When you die one time, you're playing from behind for the rest of your lane. And when you're playing behind from your lane, your entire team is playing from behind. It's why this genre is dead. The game needs to last for 15 minutes tops. It needs to respect your time. That's why this genre is dead, and that's why this game will probably not have a lifespan of longer than 1 to 2 years. Skill-based matchmaking and ranked play, and really any type of solo queue or duo queue competitive play in these types of games makes little to no sense to me. The actual game played at the highest level in tournaments is not solo queue or duo queue ranked. It's always played with full 5 or 6 stack teammates. So why does a ranked mode and a competitive mode exist in a way where you are fundamentally playing the game incorrectly by not playing with a full stack team, right? Why does it even exist at all? It exists for no purpose other than to put you in a hamster wheel where you're constantly chasing this goal of higher rank, higher rank. Maybe when I get to the higher ranks, people will play better. And I'll tell you from experience, nobody ever plays better. You end up wasting thousands of hours of your life. Solo queue and duo queue is party simulator that has been taken seriously, and that's why it'll forever be rage bait. I understand that the game right now is currently in early access, but there's only one map at the moment, and to me that's just unacceptable. This type of game needs to have multiple maps in order to keep things fresh. I understand that ass faggot players love to play the exact same map 1,000 times over and over again, but it really does get boring really quickly. The developers who were in charge of this game are very obviously not a part of the old guard of Valve, which created games that were, regardless of how well they stood the test of time, very technologically impressive even to this day. The current devs are just riding on the coattails of a game that the company that they work for made almost 20 years ago at this point. And now you seem to have all of these developers and moderators on a total power trip. When people offer legitimate complaints that I've seen online about this game, it gets totally drowned out by either hype posters or developer dick riders. It seems like in general, modern game developers and community managers want as little human interaction between players as possible within their games. And you may as well just start playing it with and against AI because they just don't want you to talk at all. If you talk in the game, you get banned. These moderators and developers are losers who are on total ego trips, who have next to no talent at all, who are riding on coattails of work that they didn't have any type of contribution to. And speaking of the Valve dick riders in the community, it feels like almost the entire community of this game was an AI that was trained on all of the memes in the community posts from 2008 TF2. It literally feels like it's the exact same. It feels totally fake. It's all fake hype, and I mean that in the worst ways possible, because none of it feels organic. There's no new creativity. It's just shills out in full force, making porn, off-model porn of their characters in the same vein as Overwatch, just trying to get people to jack off and think about their game as much as possible. Even if this game is a hulking turd, it'll still probably be the next big flavor of the month game when it releases, at the very least temporarily, because it has a Valve logo on it. This exact same product would fail if it didn't have a Valve logo on it. Valve is typically late to the party when it comes to chasing trends. I also think that because this game has become such a widespread early access game, that the hype is going to totally die down by release and it's going to kill the game's lifespan. This has happened multiple times in the past with early access games. So unless Valve has something planned for release that is gigantic content-wise, then they're not going to retain any of the players. I got sick of this game after only playing it for a week. It's just another ass faggots light game. It really does not feel any different from anything that we've had before. They need to bring something new to the table, some type of new content with this to make it fresh, to make it so that I want to play this with my friends all the time. The only real genuine fun that I've had on this game so far is just messing with people in voice comms and griefing people with Bebop by, you know, pushing them into the enemy team and getting them killed and hearing them rage.
Shut the fuck up, you don't fight forever, bro. I was so wrong.
Yo! Cancer patient! Kill yourself! Don't speak to me in that manner ever again! You fucking faggot!
Oh, you fucking shut the fuck up.
You're inbred! Your fucking parents are siblings! Kill yourself!
Alright.
Spastic cunt!
Did I mention, by the way, that I got permabanned for doing this within a week of playing the game? Even though all I did was just say a few funny words in voice chat and grief a few games that were already over. You can't talk, you can't leave, and you can't really have any type of fun on this game, or else you're gonna get permabanned without warning. If you go into the Discord and ask why you got banned, because that's the only way that you can contact the developers right now, everybody will hop on your dick and say that you got and you deserved it. While in the same breath, the exact same people are telling me that you can be banned because the person who gave you an invite was banned. So they can literally ban you for any reason that they want on this game. Don't spend any money on it. It's going to be stolen from you. Why would anybody want to play a game where you can be banned just for talking? Don't play this game. It's trash. Valve sucks!